yes, and then he grabbed my face, went bam, like kissed me.
Ever wonder what happens when a partner finally gets fed up and takes control? Christine packing up Cody's stuff, that was just the beginning.
I packed up Cody's stuff and I moved it out to the garage.
Christine packing up Cody's belongings and leaving them in the garage was a defining moment. At first glance, it seemed like a dramatic gesture. But on closer reflection, it was an act of reclaiming her space. Decisive, powerful, and long overdue.
Cody's nightstand, Cody's clothes from dresser, Cody's bathroom stuff. I guess I've been moved out of the house.
Cody's reaction said it all. He looked genuinely shocked, as if it had never crossed his mind that she might actually follow through. The indignation on his face made it clear he didn't think she had it in her. The boxes were clearly labeled, Cody's clothes, Cody's books, and so on. Each one a quiet but firm declaration that he no longer belonged there.
Cody had to duplicate everything that he had because he had all of his stuff spread into 4 houses when we were in Vegas.
And of course, he was angry. How dare she disrupt his carefully managed system of scattering his belongings across multiple homes? For years, Mary's house had been excluded, so the burden fell on Janelle, Christine, and Robyn. When Christine removed herself and his stuff, he had to scramble. Then Janelle moved into the trailer, meaning his gym equipment and miscellaneous items needed yet another home. It was a logistical game of musical chairs.
So, today I sold my bed. Cody and I have been talking about how to separate furniture and everything, and
His attempt to claim ownership of things Christine sold added another layer of irony. That was my bed. We bought it together, he insisted. This, of course, referred to a used bed he pressured her to purchase. The idea that Robyn would want it in her house was laughable. The whole scene revealed so much. Christine's decision to pack up his things wasn't just about clutter. It was emotional closure. After years of asking for partnership, for fairness, for basic respect, and being denied, she took action. This was a culmination of long-standing issues that had been ignored or dismissed.
He said the marriage was over. He needs to say the marriage is over. I said the marriage is over. I was fine with doing that.
Cody had openly told her their marriage was over. He played the role of husband and father when it suited him, when it served his image. But when it came to actual effort, the disconnect was obvious. Christine finally stopped waiting. Her background, especially the fact that her mother had left the faith, gave her perspective and support that helped her make the leap.
Back never knowing that she was going to leave. She was making plans on leaving, having a discussion with people about leaving, telling the kids, the adult kids.
Watching Cody react with disbelief, even after Christine had been vocal about her unhappiness for so long, only underscored how little he had listened. If someone spends years telling you something's wrong, maybe, just maybe, it's worth paying attention. In the end, she did exactly what she said she would do, and he never saw it coming. Robyn didn't shed a single tear for Garrison, and that tells you everything you need to know.
I'll tell you what, there's a divine aspect about my relationship with Robyn, and we have been bitch slapped for it.
For years, Robyn was given the benefit of the doubt. No blame, just attempts to understand her perspective. But during the tell-all, her behavior was impossible to ignore.
I thought it was fair for you and I to have a conversation without Robyn being involved in it.
100%.
After every clip, there it was, that smirk. A smug, knowing smile as if none of it applied to her. Then, just as quickly, she'd slip into her signature sad and confused expression, claiming she wasn't aware of anything that had happened. The transformation was instant. Smirk to innocence in the blink of an eye. This wasn't new.
She was gaslighting everyone into treating her with special treatment.
She's consistently played the same role, pretending to be oblivious, defaulting to victimhood whenever she's questioned.
And he's just looking really shocked. Garrison has passed.
Tears usually followed, but even those were questionable. Except this time, there weren't any tears. Not one. Not even a half-hearted attempt when Garrison was mentioned. For someone who's been visibly emotional for nearly 2 decades, suddenly sitting stone-faced was a stark shift. No red eyes, no tissues, no signs of actual crying. It raised the question, were the emotions ever genuine? Has she always had this level of control, choosing when and where the tears appeared based on who was watching? Throughout her time in the spotlight, her actions have shown a pattern.
Kind of hard on me, too.
Got a tough go of it, too, there, buddy.
When someone else was hurt by something she did, the focus would somehow shift to how she was affected by their pain. A subtle but effective way of centering herself in every narrative. And while the usual emotional display was absent, a different attitude took its place, colder, more defiant. There was a sense of calculated control, as though there had been an agreement beforehand. Keep the conversation in check, avoid showing weakness, and steer the direction of the interview. At this point, there's little left to perform for. She has everything she wanted. There's no more influence to exert over the others, and little reason to convince the audience otherwise.
Have this effect on our lives anymore because we just don't care anymore.
What's left is someone who no longer needs to pretend, because she doesn't have anything left to lose. Kody Brown didn't just abandon Christine. He emotionally neglected their kids, and now he's blaming her for it.
I think Christine hates me, partly because Truly almost died. And she thought that I had been negligent.
In Season 16's Tell-All episode, Kody claimed that Christine never forgave him for Truly, a reference to their daughter's near-fatal medical emergency from nearly a decade earlier, back in Season 6.
I'm not traveling with Christine and Isabel on the way to Isabel's surgery. I'm not going to the surgery. I think it's very risky.
The timing of this revelation was suspect. It was clearly being used to deflect from his COVID-era decisions, particularly his neglect of most of the family while staying isolated with Robyn and her children. Though the incident with Truly may have been a long-standing source of tension between Kody and Christine, the way he invoked it years later felt abrupt and strategic.
She is really, really sad about that. She really wants her dad there so badly.
Season 16 also coincided with Isabel's long-awaited scoliosis surgery, which Kody notably refused to attend due to travel concerns during the pandemic.
She said normally cases like this, we don't expect them to leave. I feel like I had to make the argument so forcefully in the past. I don't want to have one of my children die.
The resurfacing of Truly's situation during the tell-all seemed less like a reflection of unresolved pain and more like a justification attempt, especially if it followed a private argument about Isabel's care.
She doesn't have a lot of energy. She's just sitting there.
It's reasonable to imagine Christine confronting him with something along the lines of, "You nearly lost one of our kids because of your resistance to medical care and insurance. This time, I'm not waiting around." Whether or not Kody bore full responsibility, the emotional trauma surrounding Truly's hospitalization would have lingered, particularly given his absence during critical moments.
So we got Ariella a vanity. We're going to build that for her.
Then there's the matter of how he treats his children. He was shown on camera making a custom vanity for Ariella for Valentine's Day, an act of affection he's never publicly extended to Truly.
You and I have to actually have a child custody agreement.
Christine had to take legal action just to secure child support. It's hard to imagine Kody making any thoughtful gesture toward Truly, let alone understanding who she is or what she values. The contrast in how the children are treated is stark.
Play and hang out and spend some time together. Ari is definitely more like Kody.
Robyn had children close in age to Truly and ample opportunity to include her in everyday activities, baking cookies, making pizzas, or even casual playdates. But none of that seemed to happen. Creating a sense of belonging for a child is not difficult. It just requires effort and empathy. The idea that only Sol and Ari are tender-aged children is laughable when Truly is in the same age bracket. The emotional neglect shown toward her and Isabel over the years is significant. Christine's decision to distance herself was not impulsive. It was built on years of watching her children be treated as afterthoughts.
And when we were there, Truly got really sick. We took her to the doctor, and
Truly's hospitalization likely resulted from a combination of factors: parental distraction, outdated views on medical care, and Kody's general absence. Older siblings like Aspen and McKelty were the primary caregivers and reportedly noticed symptoms that were dismissed. The adults were too preoccupied planning a family commitment ceremony to pay attention. That kind of negligence leaves scars.
So we had to have insurance for the surgery.
In Isabel's case, her pain was minimized for years, and when her condition worsened, she was blamed for not doing enough stretching. It's astonishing she didn't develop unhealthy coping mechanisms under that kind of pressure. Instead, she showed resilience far beyond what should have been required of her.
Because I didn't feel like I had to make the argument so forcefully in the past.
Cody's remarks in the tell-all weren't about reflection. They were about justification. Bringing up truly after all that time wasn't an act of vulnerability. It was one more deflection in a long line of them. They built a brand on truth and transparency, but the real story, it was never meant to see the light of day.
I meet Mary, she was the babe. When I was dating Mary, it was very easy to it was an expectation.
Mary is now outright denying the story originally told about how Robyn and Cody met. She claims to have no idea why anyone thinks it happened at a dance. Really? Because that's exactly the story that presented at the beginning. It's one of 3 conflicting versions now floating around. Consistency clearly isn't the priority.
20 years ago, I married Mary, and then 17 years ago, I married Janelle.
This falls right in line with the whole Janelle was my sister-in-law before she was my sister-wife narrative, as though she was just a friend of the family tagging along for polygamy. In reality, Janelle was married to Mary's brother before she joined the family. They were in-laws, not just friendly neighbors.
I started talking to somebody online.
The truth has never been a strong suit for the Browns. Their entire public presence has been built on heavily edited and shifting stories. Over time, the facts have been adjusted or conveniently forgotten altogether. It's a recurring pattern. Rewrite the past to fit the current image.
We're a fundamentalist Mormon family.
This kind of selective storytelling seems common in fundamentalist religious circles. Strict rules, harsh judgment, followed by quiet rule breaking and denial. It's a cycle. Declare, defy, then deny. Significant details have been completely glossed over. For instance, Janelle's first husband being Mary's brother has been barely acknowledged, and the fact that all of them are distant cousins? Quietly swept aside. The show clearly needed to mimic the sanitized family dynamic popularized by Big Love, not the more complicated reality of in-laws and overlapping histories. They even made a point to distance themselves from the Warren Jeffs group, emphasizing their disgust with that association. And then there's Robyn's explanation in Becoming Sister Wives about the day she met Cody. My mother insisted I get my scent out there. I agreed to go to the dance, but only to escort my brother and sister, who needed a social outlet. That line alone says a lot. But one has to wonder, was it get your scent out there or get your stink out there? Ever wonder why women look better after leaving toxic relationships? Christine from Sister Wives is living proof.
Christine still feels even more of who she was. Like, all the fun parts are there.
Christine's transformation is honestly incredible. She looks absolutely radiant. And yet, there's that infamous story of Cody claiming he was turned off by her eating nachos.
She's more comfortable in her own skin.
Meanwhile, she's glowing like she just walked out of a makeover montage. It's impossible not to notice how stunning she is now. You'd think Cody would notice too, but then again, awareness doesn't seem to be his strong suit.
There's a transformation that Janelle has made, and this dress actually exploits.
What's even more striking is how all the original wives have aged beautifully. They look happier, healthier, and more confident every year.
Me, and to own my family, and my kids can be open.
Apparently, peace and freedom do wonders for the complexion. On the flip side, all that bitterness seems to be weighing Cody and Robyn down, literally and figuratively. There's a saying about how negativity adds 15 pounds on camera. It's metaphorical, mostly.
For about 10 years, she lightened that burden. It was a beautiful experience.
Christine carries herself with such lightness now. It's like you can actually see the burden she left behind.
And so Christine hasn't really had any relief because I haven't been there to help her.
As one wife aptly put it, Cody doesn't support, he undermines. He knew Christine took pride in her appearance and wanted to feel attractive. So he targeted exactly that.
I think appearance was super important to him, and it was appearance not just of himself.
Instead of lifting her up, he tore her down. That's not just unkind, it's calculated. A decent partner builds their spouse up. Cody did the opposite. And let's not pretend he and Robyn are paragons of elegance at the dinner table. The hypocrisy is astounding. There's absolutely no room to criticize anyone else's eating habits when your own table manners resemble a barnyard feeding session.
I want every woman to feel this confident and this loved.
Then there's the irony of it all. Cody tried to shed the wives he thought were dragging him down, aiming to keep just his so-called trophy wife. But once they were gone, the wives flourished, and the trophy fell apart. That says everything about what it's like to live under his roof.
Oh man, the sacrifice to love you. I'm like, I would have decked him.
When confronted with the news that Christine has moved on and is genuinely happy, he couldn't even muster real support. A decent man would feel joy for the mother of his children finding peace. But that would require actual empathy. It's not surprising, really.
And it's all of a sudden like I'm rediscovering who I was before I stepped into the secrecy.
Once women leave repressive environments, especially ones riddled with outdated rules about appearance and behavior, they often reclaim their identities. Something as simple as choosing your own haircut or makeup style can be transformational. Freedom looks good on people. Christine is living proof.
So I'm going down to see Robyn. It's a long drive, 300 miles, 5 hours.
From the very beginning, the claim that Cody was driving 5 hours to see Robyn and just hold hands never sounded believable. The idea that he was regularly spending entire weekends with her, away from his wives and children, for innocent hand-holding, it's laughable. There were clear signs of premarital intimacy long before anything was made official.
What's a church kiss?
Just a, little chase.
Robyn's response during the interview, when asked directly about their early relationship, came off as dishonest. Her discomfort was obvious. It was clear there was more going on behind the scenes than anyone was willing to admit.
Generally, what happens is anytime Robyn is slighted, and I'm sure you've seen this happen, he gets angry.
Christine had it right all along. Cody and Robyn weren't being truthful from the start. Cody prioritized Robyn over his existing family. He had a house full of wives and kids, but consistently chose to spend his time with Robyn. That wasn't about friendship or spiritual courtship. They were physically involved.
Yes, and then he grabbed my face, went bam, kissed me.
They were caught on camera, sneaking kisses. If that was happening with cameras around, what went on when no one was watching?
So there wasn't any naughtiness afterwards, or was there more kissing after the bumping of faces?
There was some chase kissing, little church kisses.
Despite their claims of following a modest courting process, the reality was very different. When a married man spends consistent, intimate time with another woman, that's not spiritual preparation. It's infidelity. Robyn wasn't just a prospective wife. She was effectively a mistress. Cody didn't abandon his family after marrying Robyn. He began withdrawing from them long before the wedding. And the infamous kiss wasn't modest. It was passionate, suggestive, and completely inappropriate given the context. It looked like a kiss shared by people who were already far more emotionally and physically involved than they wanted to admit. There's every indication that Christine became pregnant while this affair-like courtship was unfolding. Cody was still married, still committed, at least in name, to his family, and yet he was starting a relationship with Robyn that deeply affected everyone around him.
Yeah. Well, I loved our conversation about Mormon naughtiness.
No, we're not talking about my sexuality.
Robyn claimed they stuck to church kisses, while Cody joked about Mormon naughty. The truth is, they likely did everything short of intercourse. Robyn had been divorced for only 7 months and reportedly got pregnant after her first time. She clearly had more experience than she let on. And yet, because they waited for full intercourse until the honeymoon, the narrative became one of reclaimed purity. That's not how it works. If Robyn truly wanted to become part of the family, she could have spent time with everyone, not just Cody. She could have stayed with the family on weekends, gotten to know the kids, built trust with the other wives. But instead, she monopolized Cody's time, kept her children separate, and created distance.
Cody keeps going, my space, my house, my house.
Her kids called him dad before any real relationship with the rest of the family was established. Cody was snuggling her children at night when he didn't even do that for his own in similar situations.
He prays about it. He gets a testimony that Mary, same thing, hook, line, and sinker. She's done.
Mary extended kindness to Robyn in what looked like an effort to make up for past conflicts with Janelle and Christine. But Christine, pregnant and understandably feeling vulnerable, had every reason to feel hurt and betrayed.
I mean, there's no bones about it. I was very worried about the financial, and
Janelle likely assumed Robyn would contribute to the household and become an asset, help with the kids, bring in income. Instead, she ended up funding date nights and providing free childcare for a relationship that slowly dismantled the original family. Robyn was once Mykelti's second mom. So what could she have possibly done that Mykelti says she can't forgive? Robyn and Mykelti used to be very close. So close, in fact, that Mykelti was Robyn's live-in nanny as a teenager.
And so I arranged to have Robyn just come in.
Their bond was well documented over the years, including moments like Mykelti FaceTiming Robyn during the birth of her daughter Avalon.
Robyn and Mykelti have had a really close relationship from the time I started courting Robyn.
It was clear they shared a strong relationship, and it was talked about more than once on the show. At some point, though, that dynamic shifted. Mykelti and her husband Tony have addressed the situation, carefully choosing their words. They've said, "We try very hard to say what we can while respecting our families and relationships. We don't lie." They also acknowledge that while they had always been very supportive of Robyn, things have changed recently. The turning point, according to them, was something that happened at Garrison's funeral. They didn't go into detail, only stating that whatever happened led to a shift in their relationship. Mykelti has made it clear she still speaks to Robyn and Cody, but she and Tony are no longer putting in the same level of effort to maintain that relationship. Where they once carried the bulk of the responsibility for staying in touch, now they do about as much as Robyn and Cody do, which is apparently not much. There's been a lot of speculation about what happened.
After his military funeral, I left his ashes with a family member.
You know, Garrison is our passenger.
Some believe Robyn or Cody may have acted inappropriately at the funeral, whether by showing excessive PDA, making insensitive comments, or asking questions about Garrison's estate. Others have suggested they tried to involve production in some way. None of these theories have been confirmed. The only confirmed detail is that something at the funeral deeply upset Mykelti, to the point where she has said she cannot forgive Robyn's behavior. Beyond that, no one involved has shared specifics, and it seems unlikely they will. Despite the family's history of public conflict, they remain very skilled at keeping certain matters private. So, while the shift in the relationship is evident, the exact reasons remain a mystery, for now. It's me, Elena. If you like this, hit that like button. Let's get to 1,000. Drop a comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Much love.